Yes, we are back. It is the Castworthy Podcast. Big Steve and the VP. We were just kicked off by Mark Zuckerberg uh, for down talking Trump again. Um, so Facebook actually kicked us the fuck off, and
Right.
and we had to start over. I mean, the application that we used to record said you've been disconnected by Facebook. Please try again. So fuck
Damn.
you, Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna have to
let's
talk to
start
Mark,
off.
man. I'm gonna have to talk to Mark. I'm a shareholder. Like, ask him like, yo,
Oh,
what the fuck's going on?
that's true. That's true. My 0.1%, my $35 in Facebook stock. I'm gonna need you to stop acting crazy. Um, so yeah, man, let's get back to it. Castworthy Podcast. I'm Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, joined by VP the VP of research. It is Sunday, November 15th.
15.
Uh 15th.
Yeah.
We are EJ-less still. It's just us. No EJ, just for the record. When he comes and he starts acting crazy, we're here. He's not. No call, no show. That's where we're at. Let's keep that on record.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So back to it. It's a beautiful day. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on Google Play. Um, and then you can find us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, searching Castworthy, Castworthy. On Instagram specifically, it is at Castworthy underscore podcast. And yeah, interact with us, man. Join us on Sunday mornings. If you join the chat, if you follow us on Facebook and you join the chat through the live link, and you'd like to be a part of it, we can add you up. You can chat with us. I can hit a button and pop you up. New feature. I'm ready for it. We try it out. Come on here and curse VP out for hating on whoever he's hating that day. Um so yeah, let's get back to it, man. You were talking about post election shit that's going on, basically the HR of election day. Tell us a little bit about that because we got cut off.
Yeah. So basically, what's happened? Biden's won the election, right? However, states have not. Some states have certified their vote, like smaller states like Vermont and such. But the bigger states like Florida, Georgia, California, Texas, etc., it takes them a little bit longer to certify their votes. So for right now, Biden has won the election. It's been projected by the media. Once everything is finished being counted, Biden will be the winner, right? So what normally happens in a normal year is that the GSA, or the Government Services Administration, they're kind of like the HR of the government. So when a new administration is coming in, they set up folks who Biden is going to bring with him to the White House or put in different agencies with government email so they can start receiving emails about things that are happening. They set up office space for the new folks to be able to work in a government facility, to be able to view some of these government documents and things like that. Security briefings for, the incoming folks who are going to work in national security and things like that, right? And that stuff is not happening right now. And the reason it's not happening is that under the Transition Act, which was passed back in like the 60s or something like that, the administrator of the GSA basically has to do this thing where they ascertain that Biden or whoever won is going to be the president elect. And once they have that ascertainment, it lets them know that, or it basically sets all those things I just mentioned in motion. And the
Right.
current administrator says that they are unable to ascertain if Biden won the election. And so now Biden's side is kind of in wait and see mode. And it can be very dangerous, especially given that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Back after 9/11, when they had the 9/11 commission and they came out with their big report, saying like what happened to lead up, what happened with the government's failure to stop 9/11. One of the things they mentioned in there was, given everything that happened with the Florida recount and how long it took for Bush to become the president elect, none of his people were getting these security briefings and things like that. It took longer to get folks put into positions. It took longer to get them to start receiving these briefings and things like that. And it took longer to get these agencies set up. And that's part of why they say the ball was missed here. And, we're in the middle of a pandemic now with coronavirus, right? And so imagine if, the Biden folks are coming in and then they get a call from somebody saying, hey, we got this vaccine. Do you want us to send it to such and such? And they're like, oh, we have a vaccine? You know what I mean? Granted, that stuff is in the news, so that's kind of far-fetched, but you get kind of where I'm going with it. You know what I mean? Like, you come in
Yeah.
on day one and somebody's just slamming shit on your desk saying, hey, what do you want to do about this? And you don't even know this shit is happening. You know what I mean? And so that's why they need to kind of get the ball rolling here. But this is something that Trump is blocking up. So it's
Yeah.
not something he can actually do like until the inauguration. Once the votes are certified, and the longest it can go is up until the electoral college meets, which is on December 14th. But that's a month away from now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's this guy's a big fucking child, basically.
A month of a toddler, a checked out employee who put their
Yeah,
2 weeks in, and they're on day 3 of their 2 weeks, and they just don't want to do shit. So they
yeah,
showing up late, showing up when they want to, doing what work they want to do, like popping up at his million racist march yesterday that he had in DC. Well, not he had, but that took place in DC yesterday. Um, where I don't know how many people were there, but I saw some videos, some aerial footage of it, and it looked like there was a lot of supremacists out there acting a
yeah.
fool. Very few of
I,
them masked up.
I saw estimates between 20 to 50,000, but nowhere near
Yeah,
a million.
so they'll tell us it was a million. They ain't gonna
Right.
keep telling them. So you got 20,000 people there, and all the fucking all the Trump supporters are like, "How the fuck could Biden win? Look, people are showing up." Like 20,000. This motherfucker has 74 million votes. You looking
Yeah.
at 20,000 people, and you think that's the makeup of the fucking country. That's the problem. That's a huge part of the problem right there.
Right. And part of that difference too, Steve, is that people who supported Biden also believe in science. And when folks are telling us, hey, there's a pandemic out there and you probably shouldn't gather in large crowds because you could get fucking sick, and you could either kill yourself or your grandparents or whatever the fuck. So people say, you know what? I'm going to just fucking stay at home. I'll register to vote. I'll talk to my friends on Facebook or text or whatever, but I ain't going out there, you know.
Right.
Whereas people on Trump's side are like, yeah, fuck that virus, so we're gonna just go out there and meet up at the airport, thousands of us, and if we get sick, fuck it, because it's all for Trump, So that's why they can't believe it. Is that it's like nobody's at his rallies. Like, yeah, because we don't want to fucking die.
So it's like a cult, basically,
Exactly.
just
Exactly.
short of drinking Kool-Aid. Come
Pretty
on
much,
out,
man.
fuck the mask, wear your greatest Trump gear. If you don't have Trump gear, it's fine. Just wear an American flag or bring an American flag with you because, I mean, America, and, nothing says America like supporting Trump, right?
Yeah.
Um, and come join us. And so I'm interested to see. I mean, and the worst part about it, man, is it's a lot of people, but you see the videos, you see the bullshit that people are posting, and it's people that have traveled long ways, right? So this isn't going to be containing the assholes that are going to end up sick just in that area, right? These people are going to go out there, potentially contract the coronavirus, and fucking bring it back to where they may have came from. Alabama, fucking Tennessee, Florida,
Hmm.
Georgia, Colorado, wherever the fuck they came from, go up north, wherever it is, and they're gonna bring that back with them. And that's how this shit just keeps getting out of fucking control, man.
Yeah.
So
I mean that.
basically they're gonna force the hand, and we're gonna have another shutdown. And I'm fucking here for it. I can go for another 6 months or 6 weeks or however long of Netflix shows that got turned down that they're gonna be like, we ain't got no other content, so here, watch this shit. Like fucking Tiger King.
Yeah. I mean, that's the shit, man. It's just if people just fucking wear the mask, man. I mean, I get it. This shit is not ideal, man. But fuck, like, I mean, it's not like they're asking you to wear a goddamn hazmat suit or something. They're wear a mask. That's it. And then you hear people with these bullshit excuses like, you can't wear a mask all day because it can cut down your oxygen levels and da 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 and all this bullshit. And it's like, I don't know how many times I've seen on Facebook or the news in general, but people post these stories. Oh, this doctor did this surgery for 18 hours. He was wearing a fucking mask the whole time. You know what I mean? So obviously that's fucking bullshit. Like it's just amazing to me, man, how selfish that we are as Americans to not want to take care of one another in this way and not passing on this fucking infectious disease, man.
Yeah, and the funny part about it is the people that do say that you don't have to wear the mask all fucking day. Like you can wear it just when you're in public. Guess what? When you go in the car, you fine. You know what I'm saying? When you get to like for me, when I get to work, I wear it throughout the building. But when I get in my office, if I shut the door, I take it off. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because I know I'm the only one in there. If someone comes in,
yeah.
I put it on. Right? That's the way it goes. But it's just it's excuses. It's people that are brainwashed. They are fucking brainwashed. And you would think that it might have changed a little bit with fucking dumbass Donald Trump getting contracting fucking coronavirus, but it didn't help that he was extremely irresponsible with it and just was like, well, fuck this. Guess what? I'm good. 2 days later, look at me. Here I am. Let me get into the car with these Secret Service individuals, which, by the way, something came out that what 150 over 150 potential members of Secret Service have
130.
contracted COVID. 130 have contracted COVID. That came out this
They
week.
either they either have it or are quarantining because they were exposed to it.
Mm. So there's that, right?
Yeah,
It's
and
serious,
that
man. Look,
shit. And
go ahead.
what's bad about that, man, is that, like, if you're in the Secret Service or the military or something like that, like, especially those guys literally are signing up to say, I'm willing to take a bullet to put my life at jeopardy so our leader can be available to the country to lead it, right? And this guy is basically going out there. It's one thing when, the president has to go somewhere to meet the mayor or governor to talk about whatever the country's needs are, or whatever that state needs, or whatever the purpose of the travel was, right? It's
Hmm.
another thing to say, I'm going to put these people's lives at risk because I need to go out to have my ego stroked. You know, I got to go somewhere to have people cheer at me because that's the only thing that can make me feel good because of my narcissism. So I'll put these people's lives at risk because fuck them. That's what they signed up for, you know? And you not only put their lives at risk, but the people who come to cheer you as well. And that shit is it's just so fucked up when you think about it, man. This guy exposed himself, got his fucking wife sick, his own son, you know, and these other people who have volunteered to risk their life for him as well. And that shit is just so sad, man.
And correct me if I'm wrong. The Secret Service, the individuals that work for the Secret Service, they don't change when the when the president changes, right? Unless so this
No,
they may not be supportive of Trump, right? But it's a fucking
no, they
job
they
and
stay.
it feeds their family.
Yeah, they stay. Once Trump is gone, the presidential protection detail, they basically just, Biden just comes to them basically. Biden, this is not something that I know from like anything that I've read. It's just like I watch a lot of videos and stuff like on like the president, so you kind of can see the faces and things like that. And so what it seems like happens based on video that I see, like when I've watched like former presidents. So like when Obama became president, when Bush leaves and gets on the helicopter, he's going into a brand new Secret Service detail that's going to protect him as a former president. And then the people who were protecting Bush, the White House, etc., they start protecting Obama. the people who were protecting Obama while he was the candidate and the vice president elect, they fold into that protection, and then eventually the guy who was like the head of the Secret Service agents while he was a candidate and the president elect, that guy eventually takes over. I guess he comes in. This is how we do it at the White House. You kind of learn the ropes or whatever, and then the other guy moves on to whatever, and then that guy becomes the new guy now.
Gotcha.
And the same thing happened like when you like if you watch like the inauguration from 2017, when Trump comes to the White House, his Secret Service guy is there, and then when Obama gets on the helicopter, the guy who was always behind Obama, you see him now with Trump, and then eventually that guy will leave at some point, and then the guy who was with Trump on the campaign trail becomes the guy, because they rotate them out like every. I saw a documentary of Secret Service. I think it said like every 18 months or so they get rotated
Right.
out because they don't want them to get burned out.
Yeah, I can imagine. Um, yeah. So before we come off of this and move on to anything, I'm just gonna play a quick clip from and I'm sure you saw this, but the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, had something to say about to people who said some stuff about wearing masks and things of that nature. So check this out.
What is your message to the people who apparently are tired of wearing the mask over their nose as well as their mouth? They think it's uncomfortable and annoying, and it's just too much for them to handle, so they're just not doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. You know what's really uncomfortable and annoying? When you die.
What is your message to the people?
Doesn't get any clearer than that.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't get
No,
any fucking clearer than that.
That's absolutely right, man. I mean, it's just it's amazing. Like, you have to beg people to not kill themselves, and the shit that's so fucked up is that when you do bad behavior and the result is okay, it kind of reinforces that bad behavior, right? And so you think like, oh, I went to Walmart, I didn't wear a mask, I didn't catch coronavirus, so it's all good. And then you continue to do it, but it's almost like you're playing Russian roulette. It's just, when are you gonna catch the shot with the bullet? You know,
Right.
and it's not like you can go out and see like, ooh, looks like some Corona's been on this aisle at Walmart. I go to the next aisle. I'll come back later. You
Right.
don't know where it's at. The shit is microscopic. You can't see it. You don't know when it's in the air or whatever. So you should wear a fucking mask. And if you don't want to
Yeah.
do that, stay your ass home.
Looks real Ronish over here. Um,
Right.
but yeah, man, it's crazy, and obviously it doesn't help. Like down here, we've been having amazing weather here in Florida, where it's been beautiful out during the day, and even better during in the dusk hours, and as it's gotten cooler. So yesterday, I worked yesterday, but I stepped out to grab something to eat for lunch, and I didn't know what I wanted, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna take a spin around some places and shit," and I drove through Maitland, and there's a place over there in Maitland that has a bunch of restaurants and shit like that. And there was like they were packed. Like there was people sitting like on top of motherfuckers. It was
Hmm.
crazy. It was crazy. And I was like, man, fuck this. I'm out. I'm gonna go to my normal spot where I know there ain't nobody there, grab something real quick and just keep it moving. But there was a few places like that yesterday, as I was driving around, and I'm like, God damn. And then even like, downtown, um, it was crazy for Halloween. Even crazy, and so because that went okay, right? Maybe people didn't end up sick, like to your point, they're back down there again, right? Weekends
Yeah.
pop up. Fuck it, we went out for Halloween. There was a lot of people out there. We didn't end up sick. Let's go again.
Yeah.
I need to get drunk. So it's just stupid, man. And people they get comfortable. They're like, oh, I went here this one time, I went there this one time, and I was fine, And well, it's gonna take for it's unfortunate, but it takes for people to see somebody they know have fatal results from it, in order for
Yeah.
them to change. And until you see that, you're just gonna be like, well, I know someone that had it and they were fine afterwards. you know, the people that say,
Yeah.
oh well, the percentage of fatalities is only 3% or 1%. You know, And that's all. Okay, but if you have 1 million people, what's 1% of 1 million? Let's really think about that, you know. And as that number continues to grow, and who cares if it's 1%, right? I mean, you're basically saying 1% of the population, fuck it, let them go.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's selfish, man. People are just fucking selfish. It's the society we live in, and you know, hopefully we get the administration in there. And like I said, I am here for another fucking shutdown. I'm ready to go
Yeah.
into hermit mode right after holidays, man. Listen, give me 6 months. Let me know in June when I can come back out, and I'll be all right. I'm catching up on all types of shows, shit that I don't
Yeah.
want to watch. I'm gonna watch.
I didn't think. Also, I didn't think the news of that vaccine was going to help. I mean, it's great that we're getting to the point where they might have a vaccine coming online, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, that shit ain't coming to people like us right away. That shit's going to be going to healthcare workers and vulnerable elderly and stuff like that. You know, so if people
Essential.
thinking like, oh, they got a vaccine, I can go to the club. Like, no, like it's going to be a
Mhm.
while before you get that shit. You know,
Right.
like people need to wake the fuck up, man. I watched 60 Minutes last week, and they were interviewing like the guy, the general who's in charge of like the distribution for the government or whatever. And they were talking about this fucking vaccine, man. And it's like it seems like they know what they're doing, but this is the first time we've ever done this shit. So it could have problems, you know. Who knows if the vaccine is not that it may not work, but that you know shit could get there and not be any good because the vaccine has to be stored at like crazy cold temperatures. I think it was something like minus like 70 degrees or some shit like that. And they were
Damn.
saying like these hospitals don't have refrigerators that can keep stuff that cold, and so they have to figure out a way to ship it to not only ship it to where it stays that cold, but to then also be able to keep it that cool at the destination. In the Virgin Islands, they were like they don't have anything like that, so now they were trying to figure out a way of how they could ship it like using like dry ice and shit like that to keep it, you know. So like this shit is logistically gonna be crazy, and people just think like, oh, they got a vaccine, so it's all good. Hit the club up, you know.
Right.
So
And then not only do you have to ship it and store it, but you got to count on that person in between that you don't want to give $15 an hour to
yeah,
fucking to move it, right? So
yeah.
hey, it's lunchtime. I'll be back in about an hour. But guess what? In
Well,
about an
that
hour,
part
this
of
shit
it,
gonna be thawed the fuck out.
I think will be okay because like they didn't go into details because they were saying like for security reasons or whatever. But they were like, is they're gonna be shipping it using like FedEx? They've already done like contracts with them or whatever. But it's gonna be under like military guard, like from point A to point B. So,
Right. Yeah.
so I think the security of it should be okay. But you know, who knows like what the fuck? And then the vaccine requires a booster shot. So you have to take one dose and then another dose like 3 weeks, which means now you got to start keeping track of motherfuckers who took, you know, dose one today and then make sure they get dose 3 weeks later. And then the people on day two, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this shit's going to be crazy, man. Like this shit is not over by a long shot.
Motherfuckers think shit's sweet. They ain't gonna
Mm-hmm.
learn. They gonna
Yep.
learn. We saw a pretty decent amount of corona cases hit the NFL last week. This week we heard of Josh Norman, the Buffalo Bills cornerback that ended up positive. You know what's funky is I think about like how the NBA, like Rudy Gobert came out and they were like, "Hey, Rudy Gobert has COVID," and as soon as he got it, the NBA shut the fuck down. Niggas was like, "Yeah, we out." They stopped the
Yep.
game that was about to start, nigga, 10 minutes before it started. They're like, "Yo, put your warm ups back on. We not playing." And
Yep.
but we're so comfortable with it right now, and the idea of kind of getting better that you know the NFL is just like, damn, Ben, you sat next to this nigga. All right, well, just stay in the house for 5 days. We'll
Yeah.
test you. And if you don't have it in 5 days, then yeah, you could play next week. Forget
Yeah.
about the incubation period of 14 days. You know, fuck it. Give us 5 good
Yep.
days.
We'll
Give
see
us
how you feel on Friday.
right. Give us the fresh mucus at the tip of your nose, not the shit all the way in the back. We don't need that. You know, because we gotta win. We gotta stay undefeated. Like I
Yep.
just I don't know, man. Like I'm loving watching football, right? And I love football, but I just don't know. And luckily these guys are in tip top shape and there hasn't been anything major for the people that have, you know, um contracted it and become positive besides like Cam Newton who looks like shit since having it. Um
Hmm.
but maybe it's gonna take that, right? If one of these big linemen, fucking 360-pound linemen get it, you know what I mean, and they have problems breathing and it becomes, you know, bad. Maybe the NFL will take it serious because as I'm watching it, I'm like, damn, well, they're not all right, good, we're gonna get the game still. But I'm like, damn, they could have fucking at least rescheduled the games, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't think they're being as responsible as they should be with this shit.
Yeah. I mean that's part of the problem, man. Is that the 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 irresponsibility starts like at the top when you look at the government, and whether it's the president, some of these governors. Cases are surging here in Florida, and DeSantis is pushing to have everything just stay open. He
Hmm.
wants full attendance at football games or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's like the people who are supposed to be telling us what the fuck's going on, keeping us safe, etc., is basically saying nothing to see here. And so the a good bit of the country is acting like there's nothing to see here. The governor said it's okay, so shit, cool. Some people understand that it's a problem, but they also know, I have to be able to feed my family, I gotta be able to pay my bills, so fuck it, I gotta go out there and go to work or whatever. And it's like I was telling you in the pre-production, like, you watch a lot of these mayors and governors on TV, and you can see they want to shut down because this virus is out of fucking control right now. We're regularly, I remember the day we hit 100,000 cases, and it was like, holy shit. And now we're at 170,000 cases, and when we hit 100,000 was like 4 days ago. You know what I'm
Damn.
saying? So it's not
Yeah.
like, man, remember 6 months ago when we hit 100 grand? Like that was like 4 days ago. You know what I'm saying? And every day the record just keeps being broken. 100,000, 120, 150. Then we hit 170. So by next week we're going to be regularly hitting 200,000 cases a day.
Yeah.
And so but to the point you started with, man, like to see the NFL just, it seems like they taking this shit like mad casual. It's fucked up, man. And most of these guys in the league who are getting COVID, they seem to be recovering okay. Maybe it's just because these are world class athletes in the best shape of their life. They're young, they're extremely healthy. They don't have underlying conditions like obesity and things like that. Even linemen, a 300-pound offensive lineman in the NFL is different from a 300-pound dude who work at UPS. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And maybe that makes the difference, but they're playing with fire, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still stand by what I always say is we don't know what the long term effects of it is. We don't know if, you know, they find that 5 years from now your lung capacity decreases by 5%. And then 2 years after that it decreases by another 5%. And then another 5%. And then another 5% until your lungs are no longer functioning, right? We don't know. Like we don't know if it's something that's gonna come back annually, right? We're
Yeah,
in a specific person. Like we just don't know the effects. And then kind of getting the vaccine out there, to your point, we don't know what's going on with that either. We don't know if that, number one, is it going to work? Number two, are they going to have enough of it? Essential workers are going to get it. I mean, who the fuck knows? They start growing like a dog tail out there fucking back or some shit. Like we gonna have fucking millions of people. Well, guess what? Now everybody knows if you've had COVID or if you've at least had the vaccine because you got a tail now. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's crazy. But
yeah,
yeah, the NFL they gotta do better there. But in the meantime, we at least have games. And it is still entertaining. Um, so let's talk about that. Let's get to some stuff. Before we get to our picks, I wanted to do something a little different this week. I wanted to start to incorporate something and just go into so I asked you guys to think about your top three, um I guess unbelievable, for lack of a better word, or surprising things that have taken place in the NFL to date this season. So we will count down from 3 to 1 through different times. So give me number 3 for you. Number 3, most surprising thing that has taken place in the NFL this year.
Oh man, I must have missed that homework assignment.
Oh my gosh. One day you guys will start reading. I promise. I promise there's going to be a day.
Shit.
Jeez. All right. Well, I'll start while you think.
Yeah, there you go.
So number 3 for me is the success of Justin Herbert. We saw this guy get drafted early. We knew he was going to get drafted early, or we knew he was going to get the reins eventually. But he got in earlier than expected, specifically because the doctor of the Bolts screwed around and punctured the lung of Tyrod Taylor, and so Justin Herbert got in early, and this guy he hit the ground running. He's making a case for Rookie of the Year. He's averaging 306 yards per game, passing yards. He's got 17 touchdowns on the year, and a QB rating of 104.7, which is really, really good for a rookie. Really good. So for me, that is my number 3. So far, he's got 2,146 yards. I mean, their record isn't the greatest. They haven't won a ton of games under him, but what he's doing, he's making all the passes. He's making great decisions. He's got Keenan Allen looking like a great wide receiver again, not just a good one, but a great one, and a top guy in the league. And he's making a case.
Okay. I guess for me, we're going so like it's number 3. The okay. I would say for number 3, I've been super surprised at how bad the Patriots are.
That was on my list.
Losing Tom Brady was, that would hurt any team. You're losing a great quarterback like that. But they also had people, all the people who opted out because of COVID, they were impacted the most. They don't have any wide receivers. Edelman looks pedestrian. Cam's playing like shit. It's just really looking bad, and it's starting to get to the point. I feel like the question is starting to be answered. One of those kind of chicken or egg questions, like, is it Tom or is it Bill's system? And it's starting to feel like it was Tom. So yeah, I've been surprised at how bad they've been.
Yeah, and every time, it's funny, that was on my list too. But every time you start to have that conversation and say, "Yeah, it was definitely Tom Brady that did this," he fucks around and has a shitty ass game. So last week he got blown out by New Orleans, and I'm like, "Fuck!" I sent out a bunch of email or a bunch of text messages to people talking so much shit, like, and I'm not a Patriots fan, but I am a Tom Brady fan. And I do think personally he's a GOAT. You already know that, but
yeah,
yeah, it's like as soon as I'm like, yeah, see, look at the Patriots, they shit. You guys said that Bill could do it. He's got Cam Newton. It's not like he's using a third stringer, and then this motherfucker comes and gets blown out.
Yeah,
ridiculous. All right. So let's get into some picks, and we will revisit number 2 and number 1 throughout. So we all picked the Thursday game already. Actually, let's go back to last week. Last week there were 14 games. You and EJ both went 11-3, and I went 12-2. I missed Arizona. and I missed Washington. So those were two that I tried to be a little bit contrarian on against you guys. And if I had just gone with it, I would have hit all 14 of them.
Mm.
But the New Orleans paid out because you guys both went Tampa Bay and I went New Orleans to kind of stay off, and that paid off for me. So
Yeah,
and
I was
also Buffalo.
I was shocked by the New Orleans joint, man. I mean, not that the Saints can't win a game. You know, Drew Brees is a great quarterback. You know, but to just like destroy him like that should really that was crazy.
Right. It was terrible. Terrible. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay defense that everybody's raved about all year just looked bad. It looked bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. That means to me that means Carolina's in trouble this week, but we will get to that. So let's start Thursday night. We all chose Tennessee over Indianapolis rather, and we were all wrong because
Yep.
Indianapolis won that game. They came out and made Tennessee look bad. And it was not as close as the score showed at that point.
Right.
Our first game that I have here, looking at NFL.com, is dun, 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 dun. I'm going to read across the top instead of going down the list here. We got starting at 1:00. We got Philly 3-4-1 going into the Meadowlands or MetLife Stadium, I think it is now,
Mm-hmm.
to play against the Giants, who are 2-7. They are getting back. Philly's getting back Alshon Jeffrey today. They are getting back Miles Sanders today at running back. Um, and yeah, so but they do still have Carson Wentz, so there's that. So who you got?
On this one, this is gonna be another terrible game. They probably should have flexed this one and made it like a high school Friday night game. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Philly here.
Philly.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate Eric, but I don't hate him enough to give you a win. So I'm gonna go Philly as well. I just don't think the Giants have enough. I mean, they tried to bring in Devontae Freeman. He ended up hurt. They got Wayne Gallman back there. I mean, Sterling Shepard's healthy, so we could see how that works out. But I don't know. All right, game number 2, we got Jacksonville, 1-7. Going into Green Bay to get their teeth knocked out by Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
I'm not even going to ask you for that. I'm just going to write that down and we'll move on. We got Washington going into Detroit. Washington is 2-6. Detroit is 3-5. They have no Kenny Galladay today, and Washington will have Alex Smith starting.
Oh man, I want to pick Detroit here, but I'm actually gonna go with Washington on this one. I think Washington pulls it off.
Yeah, I felt good about Washington. Um, I really like Gibson a lot in this game, and I think Scary Terry finds a way to score every week. Detroit's defense isn't the greatest. Washington defense is pretty good. This is a tough one, man, and I think for me, I'm gonna go Detroit, but I'm only gonna go Detroit because they're the home team, even though stands are empty. But I'm still gonna go with them. They got home cooking. They slept in their beds last night. They kissed their wives this morning. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go Detroit, and that is gonna be the only thing that separates it for me. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended in a tie.
Mm.
Um, game number 3, there is a windy day up in Cleveland. We've got Houston, who is 2-6. They have started to look much better under Romeo Crennel. Um, Going into Cleveland, Romeo, who is familiar with Cleveland, sort of a get back game. The Houston Texans are going to be without David Johnson, who they put on IR after he came out with a concussion last week. I think other than that, they're fairly healthy. Cleveland is still without OBJ, of course, who's out for the season, but they do get their Chubb back today. Nick Chubb, the running back. Um, so they will have their double-headed monster, pause, in Nick Chubb and oh man, what's the dude who kicks
Hunt,
women? Ah, yeah,
Hunt.
Kareem Hunt in in that game, and it's supposedly very windy up there. So, what are you thinking on that game?
Um, man, I mean, Cleveland just always finds a way to fuck it up, man. But like looking at their record, I was actually surprised to see that Cleveland's 5-3. I didn't realize that. I thought they had a losing record. Um, man, I'm gonna take the Browns. I'm gonna take the
Cleveland.
Browns.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, Houston don't really got no receivers ever since they traded away Hopkins for a bag of chips, and now David Johnson's out, which no surprise, he's always out.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
they
Nothing to
just
see here.
I don't yeah I don't think Houston has enough.
Yeah, I feel really good about Cleveland. I feel like if it was in Houston, they would have a better chance. The weather plays a part here. They're saying it's windy, and Deshaun Watson does not know how to check down to the running back, which would be Duke Johnson, who could, if he knew how to do that, Duke Johnson would be a monster today, especially going up against his old team. But since he refuses to do that and only wants to either run the ball or throw it deep, with that wind, I don't foresee Houston being victorious here. I don't see them doing much of shit.
Hmm.
Tampa Bay, coming off of that loss, that slaughter Monday night by, or was no, that wasn't Monday. That was
Sunday
Sunday
night,
night by
yeah, Sunday night.
New Orleans. Tampa Tom has not slept probably all fucking week. Gronk is probably going to go for 8 and 60 and probably 2 touchdowns today. Tampa Bay going up against Carolina. Tampa Bay 6-3. Carolina's 3-6. No McCaffrey today. I'll start here. I'm going Tampa Tom, and I don't think that it'll be close personally.
Yeah, I agree, man. And basically, for the same reasons that I just gave for the Houston game, I just don't think Carolina has enough. So,
No,
they
no.
just don't have enough, man.
They're almost built the same if you really think about it. You got Robbie Anderson and you got Will Fuller, right? Those are the two number one guys on both teams. Two speed
Hmm.
guys, very little route running from them. Their second guy, Brandon Cooks, and then they got DJ Moore. Very similar
Hmm.
guys, undersized. They can run a deep route. They'll come across the middle. At running back, now here's the difference, right? Usually they have McCaffrey, which sets them apart, but they don't. They got Mike Davis, who's their backup, who
Yep.
looked great when McCaffrey first went out, but since then he's looked terrible, and Curtis Samuel's actually been getting in the mix back there. So they're very similar in the looks of their teams. But yeah, they've they've been in games, Carolina, that is, right? They've been in games, and they've had chances to win. It's a good story for Teddy Bridgewater because nobody really expected him to really get back. And so after sitting behind Drew Brees last year, he came in and played for Drew Brees and played pretty well. And he's looking okay this year. So it's good to see that with him.
Yeah.
Next game, we have the Los Angeles Chargers coming
Game of the week.
into Miami. The Chargers are 2-6. You got Herbert, who I spoke about as one of my biggest surprises of the year so far, going into Miami to see Tua Tagovailoa, something like that. Um, no Miles Gaskin for Miami, I think could pose a problem. Miami's defense has looked very, very, very good these last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
And yeah, so but it's still, I mean, you got Keenan Allen over there. Um, it's an interesting game, man. Battle of the potential rookies of the year. Who do you have? I know who you have. But
Yeah,
tell
I
me
mean that
why.
was easy. I got
Besides your
Miami. I mean, one. Well, I mean, our defense has been they've looked great the last 2 weeks. We've had defensive scores in the last 2 weeks. Um, we had a special team score the 2 weeks ago. Tua looks like the first game he looked like shit, which is expected. He's a rookie, and then especially going against Aaron Donald breathing down your damn neck. But he seems to have kind of fit in where he needed to be, getting comfortable with his receivers. Our running game is still suspect. The running game is still questionable, especially with Gaskin out. Jordan Howard still looks like shit. Still couldn't get in the game, even with Gaskin's out. They still didn't put him in. He ran like 2 plays and that was it. Um, so that's still a problem. But the pass game seems to be there. Defense is good. Herbert's a rookie, and I could see Flores hurting Herbert with scheme the way that he hurt Jared Goff when he was the Patriots linebackers coach, quote unquote, even though he was really the defensive coordinator, just didn't have a title in the Super Bowl against the Rams. So I think that Flores takes advantage of the rookie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Miami. Tua looks like he showed last week that he has a little mobility. It came down to a shootout with Arizona last week, and he made the plays that he needed to make. This is gonna take me to my number two, biggest surprise of the season, and it is Miami. And Miami being 5-3. Not a dig towards you, not trying to be funny or anything, but we knew coming into it, Fitzmagic, he usually would go, he'll give you 2 to 3 decent weeks or good weeks, potential wins, right? But I'm looking at the teams that you guys have played, and you've not been expected to win, right? So you guys lost to New England week 1. Which I think next time around you guys will probably win that game. You lost to Buffalo. You beat Jacksonville, lost to Seattle. But here's where it got interesting. San Fran, nobody picked you guys. You blew them out 43-17. Then you had 2 bye weeks in a row because you played the Jets next and shut them out 24-0. Then you had your actual bye week. Then coming off of the bye, Brian Flores was like, fuck it, I'm going with Tua. Tua's coming out. He's our starter. You guys played the Rams. You beat the Rams 28-17. Nobody had you guys beating the Rams. I think the only ones that had you guys beating the Rams were Miami fans, especially with a rookie quarterback. And then last week, you guys
Playing his
went
first
in.
game, rookie quarterback.
Right, first game. And then last week you went into Arizona and you played against an Arizona team who was fairly stacked. I mean, Chase Edmonds, they got DeAndre Hopkins, they got Christian Kirk who makes plays, still got Larry Fitzgerald over there. They've got a good team and a decent defense, right? And you guys got into a shootout with your rookie quarterback on his second game and pulled that out. So Miami is, for me, the second most surprising thing that has taken place in the NFL this year of my top 3. What's number 2 for you?
I was going to talk about Miami in my top 3 as well. I was going to actually have them number 1, but it was surprising for me as well. I think I saw I can't think of the guy's name. He's the guy who's on that show with Chris Broussard, skinny white dude. Looks like he's balding a little bit.
The guy that's always sucking LeBron off? No?
Yeah, that guy. I can't remember his name.
Me
But
either, but I know what you're talking about. I'll look it up while you speak.
He was talking about the whole thing with Flores putting Tua in, and he was like, he felt like Flores kind of didn't have a choice, and he was like, he's always told people the most dangerous thing in the NFL is Ryan Fitzpatrick in a contract year, and so he was like, Fitzpatrick gets in there and starts doing his Fitzmagic thing or whatever. And even if you don't make the playoffs, you're thinking like, damn, this guy looks pretty good. We got all these draft picks. Maybe we can just put a couple more pieces and we can see if we can win this thing. And you got Tua just sitting there waiting or whatever, and now at that point, you don't know if do I have Aaron Rodgers waiting behind Brett Favre, or do I have fucking Ryan Leaf back here or something? You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so he was like, he felt like it kind of had to be done so they can see what they got or whatever. But the move itself still surprised me. The thing that I would have for my number two, however, is I've been really, really surprised at how bad Deshaun Watson has looked. Like, I mean, me and you have talked for years, like on this podcast, in our group chat. It was almost like me and you were like the heads of the DeAndre Hopkins fan club. Like, I just feel like this guy just doesn't get enough credit for how fucking good of a receiver he is, you know.
Yep.
And it makes me think, like when I'm watching pregame shows and they talk about Atlanta, I always hear people say, "Oh man, hey, watch 11, watch it." They always talking about Julio. I'm like, Julio is like hit or miss to me. You know what I'm
You
saying?
don't
You
score
don't know what Julio
touchdowns.
you're getting. Right. You don't know which Julio you're getting. DeAndre Hopkins comes in every week in, week out, and just dominates. Even if you look at his line last week against the Dolphins, it wasn't that great when you look at the numbers. If you watch the game, though, you see Xavier Howard being abused, pass interference after pass interference call, because it's like, I either have to foul this motherfucker or he's about to give me the business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to see how good he was, and then he leaves, and then you see just the drop off in performance from Deshaun Watson. I did not expect that, man. I did not expect that. And it just
Yeah.
goes to show you how good Hopkins is. It almost reminds me of remember when T.O. was criticizing Jeff Garcia and people were like, Jeff, this guy's been to 5 Pro Bowls. T.O.'s a piece of shit, da da da. And then
Yeah.
T.O. left and went to Philly, and then Jeff Garcia was just fucking done. Like,
You're like, what? Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I've been saying it for years that DeAndre is the best wide receiver in the league, and I know that you've agreed because you fucking draft him every year.
yeah,
Um, right before I get ready to draft him, and so yeah, man, it's surprising, but I think it's an eye opener for people to understand, right? I think Deshaun Watson has been in his career more dependent on DeAndre Hopkins than Matt Stafford was on Megatron, because Megatron left, and while Stafford hasn't been winning, he didn't win with Megatron either. Um, he's still making big plays. He's still throwing for 300, 400 yards, here and there at a clip. He's made Kenny Galladay, or Ken Galladay maybe made him. Marvin Jones looks good over there. I mean, he gets the ball to Amendola. So, I think Stafford to Megatron is similar to Deshaun to DeAndre, in a sense
mm,
of what we've talked about. So yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
damn.
All right. Let's continue. Next game we have is Denver. It's a divisional game. We have the Denver Broncos going into Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Denver is 3-5. The Raiders are 5-3. I think Jerry Judy, they said, is playing for Denver this week. So Drew Lock is back, so they're at full capacity, for whatever that's worth for them, and as are the Raiders at this point.
For this one, I'm gonna go with the Raiders, man. Denver is they're just really bad this year. They're in a rebuild basically, and yeah, I think Gruden and the boys get it done. Gruden's been lucky because of COVID, and I say that only because I feel like with COVID and everything being shut down, they're not getting the full Vegas experience. Because I feel like Vegas, LA, Miami, New York, they're just those towns that you could you can get lost in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I can see them players like fucking around out there, man. But with shit being shut down and people not traveling, etc., maybe they actually are just focusing on football or whatever. But I think they've kind of benefited being this first season in Vegas from COVID a little bit.
Is Von Miller hurt? He must be.
I think he is hurt because I haven't
Oh
heard
yeah,
shit from Von Miller this season.
yeah,
I believe he is hurt.
yeah. He blew his ankle out. I just looked it
Mm.
up here. I was wondering. I'm like, man, I haven't heard shit about him. But they do. They have their own Chubb over there, Bradley Chubb, and he's looked pretty decent. He's looked pretty decent for them getting to the quarterback. If Derek Carr can keep a clean pocket, then I think Las Vegas definitely wins this game, and I don't foresee it going any other way. Drew Lock he's still young, second year guy, just doesn't look like we expect him to. For as much as they adored him, Denver's gone through 37 quarterbacks in the last 3 years, so. But I'm gonna go Las Vegas with you. I got the Raiders taking this one. I think Jacobs has a pretty decent game, even though Denver does pretty well against the run. And I can see Nelson Aguilar blowing the top off of that defense. Pause. And so let's go. Let's get into. This is a very good game. I think it's going to be. To me, I think it's going to be a shootout. Lots of points scored. You got Buffalo going into Arizona. Buffalo is 7-2. Arizona is 5-3. Josh Allen going in to see the kid Kyler Murray this week. What's that look like for you?
Hang on 1 second. You go ahead. You go ahead. I gotta fix this thing.
I'm gonna go with I think in this game, man, I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. And while I do want to go Buffalo, I think I'm going to take Arizona in this game. And the reason I'm going to take Arizona is neither one of them have a running game, but Buffalo's running game just has not looked good at all. Singletary hasn't looked good. They bring Zach Moss in. Zach Moss scores touchdowns, but they just will not commit to him. They continue to force the ball into Singletary's hands to run the ball. And I think they're going to come across they will come across today a Kyler Murray who can scat all over the damn field. They don't have they got Tre'Davious White who will probably be on DeAndre, but I think that leaves Christian Kirk to go deep without what's his face there, without Josh Norman there. So I think Christian Kirk has a pretty decent game. I think he hits a deep pass to him. Stephon Diggs will probably have a decent game, I think. I think they're going to work to shut him down and probably put a safety over to help out on him. And I just think Arizona's going to squeak this one out. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any sense, but I do think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I'm going to say something like 35 to maybe 33. I think it'll be very, very close, or maybe 35-31. But I'm going Arizona on this one.
Yeah, when you just mentioned the points, you made me think last week because EJ parlayed that Miami Arizona game, and he asked me, "You think it's gonna be 48 points?" I was like, "Nah, not even close." These motherfuckers put up 65 points.
Yeah, that bitch went way over.
But I do agree with you. I think it's gonna be a shootout as well. You're gonna have Arizona looking to get the bounce back from Miami, and I don't know, the Bills. They didn't. Man, I want to pick the Bills here, and I'm gonna go Bills. Fuck it, I'm gonna go Bills. I'm going my gut.
I know you don't want them to win,
No, not at all.
but okay. I could definitely see them winning. But I feel good about Arizona. Um, San Francisco, no Jimmy Garoppolo, no Raheem Mostert, no Debo Samuel. New Orleans, Drew Brees healthy, Michael Thomas healthy, Alvin Kamara healthy. Um, four and
Yeah,
five,
Emmanuel Sanders
San
back too.
Manuel Sanders healthy. 4-5 San Fran going into Narlands. 425 game today. New Orleans, who is 6-2, coming off of that blowout of Tampa Bay.
And at home. Yep. I'm gonna go New
And
Orleans here. I think
yeah, Drew.
I think Breeze keeps it rolling.
Yeah, Drew Brees in that dome is crazy, and San Fran's defense just hasn't been what it was last year, and they
Yeah,
can certainly be passed on. Richard Sherman is still out, I believe, for them, which
I
is
think so. Yeah,
a huge problem. Which could, yeah, I'm going New Orleans, no question.
yeah. And that city loves Breeze too, man. Like you know, like I feel like Breeze get them same kind of vibes like how Dan Marino gets to Miami. And it was even before they won the Super Bowl. They really because I think when he got there, didn't he move into the city? Like he didn't live like out in the suburbs or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. He lived
Yeah,
down in the, I mean, not in the dirt, but you get what I mean.
yeah. And him and his wife donated like a bunch of money to like Katrina relief and shit like that. They love that dude down there, man.
Yeah, Drew Brees he's the mayor. He's the mayor of New Orleans. I
Yeah,
mean, there's nothing anybody can do to overshadow him in New Orleans at all.
yeah.
Rightfully so. I mean, the dude basically said Black Lives don't matter, and they still support him. So there's that.
Right.
Yeah. Um, but yeah. So all right. Next game we got on the docket. Seattle, 6-2 divisional game going into Los Angeles for a game with the Rams. Seattle's secondary looks like shit. Um, I think this is a shootout. Personally, I think Jared Goff is going to have a very good day. Uh, what people don't expect. But I have to. Oh man, Seattle does not have Chris Carson, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They got Travis Homer, and they've got DJ Dallas over there in Seattle. And the Rams just refuse to utilize one running back, so you don't know who to use in fantasy. But I think, man, I think this is a trap game. It's divisional, and I think the Rams are going to come out on this one.
Hmm. Um. Oh, EJ just texted in chat, by the way. Um. Hmm. Nah, I think Seattle. I think Seattle gets it done. They go into LA and get the win. Russell Wilson is going to go in there and show why he is a leading MVP candidate, and he's going to get it done.
I could see Seattle winning for sure. Russell Wilson. I think it's going to come down to really for me, um, whether or not what the heck is his name? I can't remember his name. The uh, the cornerback that came from Jacksonville. Holy shit,
Jalen Ramsey,
Jalen Ramsey. Golly, it's
isn't
going to
he?
come down
Isn't he hurt?
to no. He's playing. He played last week.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to come down to whether or not he can play good defense on DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf has been something different this year. They have no Chris Carson, so they don't have any change of pace with the run game, and I do think Tyler Lockett gets off because they struggle. They struggle with the slot. So I think you move more out to the other side, DK on one side, and you put Tyler Lockett in the slot, and I think he can eat today like he did a few weeks ago. But yeah, I think it could go in either way. I think Robert Woods, Cooper Cup, I think they have good games. I even think Gerald Everett can have a good game against Seattle because their secondary is just that bad. That's why I'm going to stick with LA on that one. We've got Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, 2-5-1. Going up against the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, who last week played with 17 men on the field, including the referees, who were on their side against the Cowboys. And Ben Roethlisberger, who hurt his knee last week, found a way to get back in, but also sat next to a guy with COVID on the ride home the whole way. Went into COVID quarantine for 5 days, and well, since he hasn't popped a positive test in 5 days, we'll let him play. So Pittsburgh has a full cast up against Cincinnati today at home. What you got?
Yeah, I was surprised last week at that Pittsburgh Dallas game, but I mean it's any game of Sunday, But I think Pittsburgh gets it done against Burrow. It's a rookie. Cincinnati isn't that good, even though Burrow does look like he's the truth. So that team should be able to be better next year. But I don't think they can. I don't think they beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh goes on to be 9-0.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I like Joe Burrow. He's looked pretty good. They're without Joe Mixon this week, so Giovanni Bernard will probably have a pretty decent game, catching passes out the backfield. But Pittsburgh did struggle last week. They struggled, but the Cowboys defense looked the best that they did all year last week, and so they played very good, just not good enough to beat the refs. So I do think Pittsburgh wins today. Baltimore 6-2. Lamar Jackson, who does not look like MVP Lamar Jackson this year. They are going into New England to the hood with Cam Newton, Sans Edelman, and they got Jacoby Myers, who Monday night caught like 12 passes, 13 passes. But yeah, Baltimore's defense looks pretty good. I think they're healthy. They got Mark Ingram coming back today. What are you thinking?
Well, first, I sound like a broken record on this. I don't know why this game wasn't flexed. Like New England is trash. You got Miami Chargers, Bills, Cardinals, or Seahawks Rams. This game could have been flexed for. So, I think they're limited on how many they can flex, but they've definitely had some flex opportunities that they seem to not be taking advantage of over the last couple of weeks. But on this one, I'm gonna go. I mean, New England, they just look bad, man. They just look bad. They're in a rebuild. New England they remind me of this season, like Notre Dame, where it's like they're living off past glory, and they're like the kid in the small town who was the starting quarterback, and now he's like 35 years old, talking about when he scored the winning touchdown against the rival from across town, and
Yeah. Yep.
So I think Baltimore gets it done today. Defense plays well. I have them on my fantasy for defense. Even though Lamar Jackson has not looked great, I mean they're still 6-2, so they're finding a way to get it done, and I think they do the same thing today.
Yeah, he has not looked good at all. Man, this is a trap game. I think this is a trap game. Baltimore just does not look good at all. In order to pick New England, I would need them to have one more pass catcher. Like they just don't, and I can't. As much as I want to kind of shake it up, this is not the game that I can do it with. Not today. Not today. So yeah, I'm going Baltimore as well. EJ has finally decided he was going to join us slightly, sent us some of his picks. Did not give us this most recent one of Baltimore and New England.
No, you took the Patriots.
So Oh, he did say the Patriots. You're right. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What am I missing from him? I've got the
Oh shit.
Rams from him. What's up?
No, go ahead.
All right, so we got Monday Night Football, which is Minnesota, and they are going into Chicago. Minnesota's 3-5, Chicago's 5-4. Divisional. Chicago has played like a 2-7 team. However, what you got going on there?
I'm gonna go Chicago. Not, you know what? Scratch that. I'm gonna take the Vikings. I'm gonna take the Vikings.
Chicago has no Montgomery. Nobody knows who's running the ball for them. Potentially a Lamar Miller being brought up from the practice squad for them to run the ball tonight. Dalvin Cook has just looked like the best running back in the league for the last two weeks since he came back from injury. So I am on the same side here. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, I'm going Chicago. And the reason I'm going Chicago is because Kirk Cousins has never won on Monday Night Football. Not a
No.
one time in his career. So it might happen this week. It's highly possible. But because of that, I'm going with Chicago. Hopefully Nick Foles remembers how to play some football this week, and that'll set me apart from you a little bit somewhere because we've been on the same page pretty much everywhere else. Yeah. So, with that being our last pick, let's go to number 1. Your biggest surprise of the season in the NFL to date.
My biggest surprise, I would have to say, is something that you actually alluded to. Is I'm surprised that. Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but you know, on how recklessly the NFL is going with these guys and COVID.
Mm,
Like you just
yeah.
talked about the Ben Roethlisberger thing. Hey, you were sitting next to somebody who tested positive. Tell us how you feel on Friday, and then you can play. It's just it's amazing, man. Like like I said earlier in the podcast, I think they're playing with fire. They are playing with fire, man. The stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, like they said, no on field, like dapping each other up and all that kind of shit. They're still doing that. You
Yeah.
still see coaches sometimes not wearing masks, and I bet they're still doing the jersey exchanges. We probably just don't see it on camera. So it's just a matter of time, man.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And kind of to that point, they still think that they're gonna piss on us and tell us it's raining by saying that there have been no COVID cases that have been contracted while on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fucking possible. It's not. There's no way that's fucking possible. But we'll let them get that off. My number 1 biggest surprise. 2 actually. There's 2 that go into number 1. Number 1 isn't as huge, but you are in first place in our fantasy league. That is a huge surprise to me. But my biggest surprise I think is Pittsburgh being undefeated still at 8-0. Pittsburgh has never started 5-0. And
Yeah.
in all the years they've been around, in the 6 championships they've had, they have never started 5-0. Ben Roethlisberger through his rings, Terry Bradshaw through his rings, Steel Curtain. And then when you think about it, last year they looked like total and complete shit. It looked like, Juju Smith-Schuster was done. It looked like he was off.
Yeah.
It looked
Ben
like
had one foot out the door.
Ben looked like, yeah, they were talking about, well, after this injury, I don't know if we should bring him back. And they brought him back, and they are 8-0, and they're doing it. I mean, Juju's still not killing, right? But they got that rookie Claypool over there who's doing his work. Deontay Johnson, I believe, is the other wide receiver who's doing work. James Conner is not doing as much as you would expect him to do. Benny Snell is actually getting some run over there, but they're putting it together, man. And this would be 14 consecutive seasons. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season since being with Pittsburgh. So they need to give that man his fucking flowers.
That's
100%.
surprising. As much times he's on the hot seat. Every time I turn around, he should be getting fired. So
Yep. The expectations up there, I mean, are high, but we talk about it all the time, the way they treat coaches in general, but then again, black coaches even more so. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that I mean, you got to give him his flowers, man, 100%. And he gets it done, man. He motivates these guys. He keeps them going. He shows emotion. He's not that guy that stands on the side with his face like like a sour. So, I fucks with him, man, and so for me, that is my number one most surprising thing in the NFL this year to date.
yeah. The
Uh,
Pittsburgh thing is a good one because I remember last year with the Minka Fitzpatrick trade, people were saying, "Man, I don't know if they should have made that trade. Pittsburgh, this might be a top 5, top 10 pick, and they're gonna
right,
need it to get a quarterback because Ben is trash and da da da. These motherfuckers 8-0. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know you always say you can only play who's on the schedule, but they've had a pretty easy schedule when you start to really break it down a little bit, and I'll tell you exactly what that schedule looks like because a lot of people, when they started off 4-0, people were like, yeah, but look who they're playing. They're not playing
hmm
anybody good. And so they started off with the Giants, then they played Denver, then they played Houston, then they had their bye week because of that thing with Tennessee or whatever.
yeah,
And so then they had Philly, Cleveland, then they played Tennessee. Then they had their divisional game against Baltimore, which was probably their most difficult task of the season
hmm
on paper. And then they played Dallas last week, which was their most difficult task in reality for them. Not on paper. Don't get me wrong. They should have beat Dallas, and it should not have been a 5-point game, and it shouldn't have come down to a
hmm
game-winning drive. But in reality, that was the most challenging game for them. They were out the door if it wasn't for a fucking bullshit roughing the passer call. But I don't want to dwell on that. But their schedule from here, they got Cincinnati today, then Jacksonville. They got another ball. I mean, they can possibly go undefeated. I mean, they have Baltimore divisional game week 12, which is could be their toughest one. Actually, that's on Thanksgiving. Um then they go out Washington, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indianapolis. And Buffalo is probably their most difficult beyond that, but they got Cincinnati, Jacksonville. They get Cincinnati twice, they get Jacksonville, they get Washington, then they got Indy, Buffalo, and Baltimore. So they will likely go nothing less than 13-3 this year. But I
God
could see
damn it.
them going undefeated. Who's not playing?
No, no. While you were talking, I was looking at my Twitter and I see
Oh,
over in Egypt they found these 100 coffins with mummies in them that are 2,500 years old, and they decided to open them up. I'm like, you're in the middle of a goddamn plague, and now you're opening up these ancient coffins and shit. Like wait till 2021 for that shit, yo. Like, there's too much shit happening now.
right. These niggas about to get up and fucking start killing people, start the zombie apocalypse.
Man,
Yep, that's them. That's those people.
yep.
That's what they do. Um, Somebody said that the Cowboys should have hired Marvin Lewis. What do you think about that?
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, maybe if he wanted to do like a coordinator job or something, sure. But as a head coach, I think it's too soon, man. And I know I've been one of the people who talk about how these white coaches who don't win, they keep getting jobs and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just, I mean, Marvin Lewis is a good guy. I don't know if he is the right head coach, especially for a team like the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys would have done themselves a huge favor by hiring somebody who's young and dynamic, like that guy Richards or Richards or whatever his name is on y'all,
Mhm.
the black guy, the young dude,
Yep.
or going out and getting a guy like a Benamy or something like that. But I don't think that what's his face, the Green Bay dude, uh, McCarthy. I don't think
McCarthy.
McCarthy was a good hire, and I don't think that Marvin Lewis would have been a good hire either.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I said the same Marvin Lewis who spent something like 12 seasons in Cincinnati and couldn't win a fucking playoff game.
Right.
Nada. Um,
And with coaches, like especially like in these like big market, like big name kind of teams, I feel like you either have to already have a culture, or the coach needs to make the culture, right? And in Miami, we don't have any culture down there, and Brian Flores came in and changed that. You hear these guys, marching to his beat. Things I hear Brian Flores say in press conferences, I see players say in their interviews and on their Twitter and shit like that. You know what I mean? They're buying in. You look at a guy like Jimmy Butler, who's looked at as being a shitty teammate. He's a piece of shit. The dude comes to Miami. People, oh, this guy's he's such a great leader. Da da
right.
da da. Because he comes in, there's a culture already there that he has to mesh with, or the shit ain't gonna work. And I don't think the Cowboys necessarily have a great culture already in place, and I don't think McCarthy brought one. And maybe you could have a young, dynamic guy like Richards or Rashard, how the fuck you say his name. Maybe he could have set that tone or whatever, but I definitely don't think McCarthy's doing it. I don't think McCarthy's gonna be on the sidelines long for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Chris Richard. Yeah, I agree with you. Chris Richard would have probably been a better pick, for us for sure. Um, I actually wanted him to get that job. I actually wanted him that. I wanted Jason Garrett to get fired last year, like week 11, so that we could see Chris Richard for 5 weeks and get an idea of what he was going to give us, right? But Jerry doesn't do that. So, but also, we know Jerry wants to keep control of the team. Um, he wants his hand in the cookie jar at all times. So, I don't think that he would have worked there. Marvin Lewis would have been the guy, probably the type of guy that he wanted, because
Mm-hmm.
you're putting a black face to the team. Um, and Marvin Lewis would have probably been that guy to be like, all right, boss, whatever you need, boss. Um, but I'm kind of glad we didn't go with him. I initially was okay with McCarthy, but I agree with you now. I just feel like he's old. I don't think he's respected by the team. We've heard it. We've heard that the locker room is, kind of, you know, chirping. So then losing Dak didn't help. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, McCarthy brought a decorated team with him. The defensive coordinator is a decorated guy. The special teams guy, decorated guys. I mean, these are all guys. I mean, he kept our offensive coordinator, which I really don't like. Damn it, I don't know why I can't remember his name, but you know, I don't think McCarthy is the guy. I don't think he is,
Yeah.
man. And we'll see, man. Jerry doesn't like to lose, and he's going to be able to probably chalk up this year to Dak being injured, but he's going to have to win some games, especially, right? Especially if today, for some reason, the Giants can beat Philly, right? And really toss up the division again. Philly beating the Giants today make it, extremely challenging for the Cowboys to catch them with third or fourth string quarterback. But
Mm-hmm.
if the Giants can beat Philly and level that out a little bit, and the Cowboys come back from their bye and they can put together a couple of wins, they still got to play Philly, twice. then no, once they played already once. Then there's expectations there. I think there's higher expectations. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and this is
I
the
like.
week too for y'all. Like losing Dak was big, and trying to go week to week, and then you lost Dalton. So now you got to buy. You get to get the kid a lot of work, a lot of reps, a lot of film. Not saying that he wasn't doing the work, the film, etc. during the week, but now you kind of get to lock in. You know what I mean? You got a
Mhm.
great fucking running back. You got great receivers. Like so, and especially as bad as that division's doing, like this is the week to try to get it done. As crazy as it sounds, I mean, it doesn't even sound crazy just because of how bad the division has been this year. The Cowboys still have a shot at making the playoffs. You know what I
Right.
mean? And this could be the week that starts that march.
Yep. Garrett Gilbert looked good to me last week. He made some decent plays. He made some fucked up plays like that interception in the red zone, which could have potentially changed the outcome of the game. Um, but he looked better to me than Dalton did. We know Dalton is more seasoned because he's been in the league a long time. So obviously they'll probably base it on what they see in practice. But I think if they do go with Dalton, they must have a very short leash on him, and say, listen, if that first quarter don't look good, we gonna move on from you. And I'm assuming that your ear pods just died. So we got EJ's picks, but that's all we got from him. He did not join. He said y'all still recording, like he was gonna pop in. Never popped in. Oh, y'all still recording? I'll pop up.
Yeah,
Jeez, I tell you.
Oh man, cheese and bread.
Schedule. Why do you schedule stuff? Why? What what is a schedule? Uh yeah, man. So you've been watching anything new? Are you all caught up on the Undoing?
Yeah, I'm caught up, so I'm ready to go for the night, man. I have you caught up before I say anything?
Yes.
The show, I like that it's throwing me, man. It's not like what I think is happening is not happening, because I'm looking at Nicole Kidman like she's this like this scorned lover. She just found out her husband cheated on her, got a fucking kid. You know what I mean? And then you find out from the security shit she was walking by the crib. You know what I mean? And so now I'm
Right.
like, was she involved in it? You know what I mean? Because I don't know,
Yes.
man. I don't like.
Bruh.
I feel like what we're seeing is not what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
I suspect I suspect that she's fucked up in the head. I suspect that we might get to the
Mm.
end. I suspect that we might get to the end of this show, and this might be somebody telling the story of how they identified that she was the one that did it, right?
Oh
And
shit!
she
I like that.
she was she was this doctor, you know. She was she was meeting with people, she was meeting with these individuals, but really she might have been schizophrenic or something like that, right? And so what
Hmm.
I think is, I'm thinking that if she didn't do it, she was there and saw it, because you remember that one scene where she's walking and she looks at the billboard, and it's just like a Maybelline billboard type of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
then she gets the flashback of kind of visualizing and seeing seeing her get smashed with the hammer and shit.
Yo, when I saw that, I thought it was suspect, but then I was thinking like, well, they've been reporting on it on the news, and so maybe, in her mind, like
Just
she's
picturing it.
yeah, but that I like that. I like that. The thing for me with Nicole Kidman's character that's always stood out. Remember in the first episode when she's doing the therapy session with the gay couple? the
Yeah.
black dude and the white guy, and
Mhm.
she was talking about like how like cheating is exciting because it's done in the dark and it's secret and all this kind of stuff like that. And that line like jumped out at me. And then when they
Mhm.
showed like you know how when they do like previously on, they show you like the highlights from last week. They put that in there in
Right.
for episode 2 and for episode 3. And so I'm like, that line wasn't a throwaway line. They keep highlighting it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so that's what's always been like suspect about her character to me. That line just like jumped off the screen at me when she said it or whatever. So I'm thinking she's doing some dirt. I just don't know yet, you know?
Right. Now, alternatively, what if she knew that he was paying the kids tuition, the little Spanish kids tuition? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I mean, I just think there's so, or it could have been the father, like the father found out, but that's a large amount of money that he said he gave him. That 500
Yeah.
racks, that's a lot of money, dude. To
And
just
you
be
see
like,
the
oh yeah,
dad went to the crib too. Did you catch that
right,
last week?
yeah,
That I'm telling you, this show is pretty good, man. It's from what I read, it's a mini series. I think it's based off a book. I've tried not to Google anything because I don't want to like find out.
ruin it.
I'd rather just let it happen. Especially since it's a mini series, probably going to be like 8 episodes or something like that.
There's only 3 more. It's only 6
Oh, okay.
episodes.
So yeah, so I'm just kind of let it come at me and just try to figure it out in my own head or whatever. But
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
good
good,
though.
man. It's good.
I like it.
So
I like it.
me too.
I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna watch tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Probably tonight. I had to catch up last week and I had to watch 2 of them back to back. But yeah, they did a good job so far with this show. I
Hmm.
just hope it stays that way.
I could
And
see this
now
becoming a regular show too, because that's how that show Big Little
flipping it,
Lies.
right? Yeah,
Nicole Kidman's on that too. That was supposed to be a mini series based off a book, and then it did great in the ratings. And HBO was like, "Yo, y'all want to do another season?" You know, they were like,
she
"Sure."
don't look 53. She don't look
Nah, she don't.
53. Now here's the dude at my job told me, what if the son did it and she's trying to cover it up?
Hmm.
Like what if the son knew that the father was doing dirt and the son was in there, right? And she saw, so her vision of seeing that in the seeing the hammer hit the person, she was looking through the window and saw her son do it. And now she's trying to cover it up. It's why she called the cops real quick on her husband and all this other shit.
Hmm. That's interesting.
So
I don't know.
I didn't think that, but that was the dude at my job, and I'm like, because now, right, the kid started off real innocent, but like when he went to see his dad in jail, he was like, "Were you fucking her?" And you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he changed real quick. He went from like this innocent 10, 11-year-old kid to like this fucking, savage of a of a teenager type of
Yeah.
thing.
I
Um,
like that theory, but I probably would put that one on the back burner for now. I don't. I think I I think it's somebody in our main group, which is either like Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, the dad, and another person who I'm suspect of is that fucking friend, the blonde hair chick, who she's always
the
talking
lawyer,
to. Yeah, the
the
lawyer
lawyer,
chick. Like she's
yeah,
suspect to me, yo, because like she's always around. People are always telling her shit. She even knew that he was doing dirt because she was like, "Oh, it was her," and she's like, "What are you
yeah,
talking about?" "Oh, he came to me about da 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 da,"
mm-hmm.
and this supposed to be her homegirl, So what if she didn't just leave it at, "I looked over these papers for him and told him what I thought," and then she maybe looked into it further. How did this kid get into school? She talking to the principal. Oh, it turns out so and so paid his tuition. I guess he was trying to do, help somebody in the community or whatever. And you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be
Or
surprised if it was like the lawyer friend trying to look out for a homegirl.
what if he was smashing her too?
Yeah, could have been.
And jealousy sets in. But yeah, I look forward to it, man.
Yo, that's a good fucking point, Steve. Because if you done did dirt with somebody through your job and you getting disciplined, why would you go to your wife's best friend who's a lawyer to get her to look it over? even
Right.
though she tells her, oh, it was privilege, it was lawyer client information. This is your wife's best friend who was a gossip queen, because she literally says everybody tells me everything. You know
right.
That's
She
a
called
good
her.
fucking point, Steve.
So maybe he was smashing her. I mean, 3 more episodes, man. And the good
I
thing
like
is
that one.
when there's only 6 of these bitches, every episode counts. So we're not getting
Right.
them dead garbage episodes, that you get on other shows. So this one is probably going to be pivotal. Like we'll probably see a plot twist in this bitch in number 4, because this is leading up to the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about miniseries is that I remember when I was in college, I took this class, this humanities class called Intro to Fiction, and in that class we used to read a lot of short stories, like stories that were like 4 pages. Like I think the longest one we read it was like 30 pages long or whatever. And the teacher was saying, when you look at short stories, a lot of times they don't just throw it right at you. You got to kind of read between the lines. And they were saying because the story is so short, there's not a lot of filler, so everything has meaning. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like for example, we read this one story called Hills Like White Elephants, and the story itself is about this couple who were traveling from like this small city somewhere in Europe. They're going to like a big city to have an abortion. It takes place like in the early 1900s or whatever. And in the story, they never use the term abortion. They never talk about doctors or anything like that. But it's all this like symbolism that's in there that you got to
Right.
kind of read into to understand what's happening or whatever, And, so like once our teacher finally told us what it's about, because we're all in the class just like, I think they're doing this, I think they're doing that. And like nobody came up with,
Put it
they're
together.
going to have an abortion. so, but that's kind of how I feel with this story, like how you just said. It's only 6 episodes. It's not a lot of time for character development and filler bullshit. It's just like throwing it at you like bam, bam, bam,
Yeah, we got everything right now. I think we got everything we need to know to get to the end. So let's go. Let's get the party going.
Yep.
That's the only thing I've been watching. I haven't really started anything new. Haven't been catching. I just haven't really had too much time still. But I will make time to watch that. You been watching anything else?
Nah, nothing else. There's a show that we were gonna start. I'm trying to pull it up real quick on my tablet because I can't think of the name. It's on Showtime. It's a mini series as well. It's like I think it's 6 or 7 episodes. We saw the preview last night, and it takes place like around like slavery, Civil War time, or something like that. It's called like something Burr or something. I can't.
On Showtime?
Yeah, it's on Showtime. I'm trying to.
Let's see what they got.
Cause we watched a preview last night, and we both were like, "I think I want to check that out."
Not the Good Lord Bird. They got a few
Yeah,
on here.
there you go. There you go. Good Lord Burr. There you go.
Good Lord Bird.
Yeah. So we watched a preview of that, and it's a mini series. The preview looked pretty good, and then we read like the like the synopsis of the show or whatever, and it sounded good. So we're gonna check that out. So I'll probably start that sometime this week, maybe next week or something like that.
Well, tonight's the finale, so you'll be able to binge that bitch.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm watching it with the wife, and she's a little bit slower than me.
She's not a binger.
Nah. So we'll watch if it's something she likes. She'll be like them fucking like them Chinese like soap operas. She loves them shits. No, it's all in Chinese, so you got to read subtitles. And like one season is like 40 episodes. She'll watch that shit in like 3 days. Yeah.
Those are on what, Netflix?
Like she mostly Netflix. She watches them on.
Yeah, this dude at my job watches those. Because he's trying to learn like Korean and stuff like that. So he's like, you gotta watch them. They're good. And I'm like, I don't understand them. And I don't like reading. I hate subtitles.
Me too. And for me, I find myself reading and I'm not really watching the picture, so I'm not seeing like facial expressions and Like, you know, like this guy just said something. Is he saying it angry? Is this,
Right.
you know, are they, you know, is he trying to be, you know, like spit some game? You know, like what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't like subtitles unless I'm like into something. So like Game of Thrones, there would be times where I would turn them on just so like because the twang or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
their way they spoke, I had to read it to make sure I didn't miss something. But
Right.
if I don't love this shit, I don't want to have to, and I don't want to have to do that shit every episode, like from the beginning to end. Because then I'm not, like you said, I'm not even looking at the characters. I'm just reading the bottom of the screen.
Right.
So I can't.
And
I
and
can't.
and sometimes this shit is necessary. Like Game of Thrones is a good example. Like if I go back and think on the show, right? I don't think watching them Dothraki scenes would be as good if it was like them speaking English with some kind of accent. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
having them in that language they created for the show, I feel like that shit made it better. You know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
wasn't a whole fucking series. It's, you know, here and there. You know?
Right. Every episode. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know what else I got to catch up on the Shy. I'm still way behind on that. So I got to catch up on the Shy. That's why dude. I'm ready for this shutdown. I hope. I know people are like, "Don't shut us down again." I'm saying like, "Yo, say the word, say the motherfucking word." I'm ready for it. Shit. Even though I'm pretty much living the shutdown life, like if I'm not at work, I'm
Yeah,
home. But
I hear you.
it's different. It's different when they tell you it's a shutdown. Then you like, well, I guess I gotta hunker down. Um, yeah, man. So I think other than that, I think we're pretty good, man. I don't have any additional topics. Obviously, besides our norm, staying safe, staying healthy. If you know someone that lives in Georgia, tell them that they need to be available for the Senate race. That's gonna, what is that, January, right?
January 5th.
January 5th. It's a big one.
And
And
if they weren't 18 before, if they're going to turn 18 before January 5th, they can vote in this runoff in Georgia.
boom, I need to find some friends in Georgia. Road trip. Maybe we just rent the van again for the weekend. Let me talk to E. See what he's talking about. Go out there and get some Georgia peaches. Um, that's it, man. I don't have anything else. I'm gonna hand it over to you to do what you do and get us up out of here.
All right, folks. As always, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us, joining the podcast this morning. Everybody who did show up, there are some people who no call, no show. That occurrence will be going on their file. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, as always, thanks for tuning in. Like me and Steve just mentioned, if you live in Georgia, if you listen from Georgia and you couldn't vote in the last election because you weren't old enough, if you turn 18 before January 5th, you can vote in that Georgia runoff election. Um, um, as always, thank you guys. You can find the podcast on any podcasting platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, Google Plus. If they got podcasts, we're more than likely there. Just search Castworthy. Check out our social media at Castworthy as well. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. And you can also check out the website, www.castworthy.com. All the previous episodes are there. They're also loaded on all the podcasting platforms that were previously mentioned. Like me and Steve said in this episode, and as we stress on every episode, if you're going to go out, wear a mask, do your social distancing. Coronavirus is still a thing. It is still out there. And final thing again on this, um, don't listen to these people who tell you once you got it, you have immunity. My sister-in-law had coronavirus, told you guys about a couple weeks. She then became negative, and now she has it again.
Oh
So if you go out, wear a mask, keep your social distance, protect yourself, protect your families. And as always, we love you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.